Uncover the sinister secrets of Little Nightmares 3. A spine-chilling journey awaits you. Lisa adjusted the thin fabric of her blouse, feeling an uneasy breeze creep through the cracks of her cozy suburban home. Greendale, with its perfectly trimmed lawns and smiling neighbors, had always felt like a bubble of safety. But as dusk fell and the daylight retreated behind the horizon, shadows began to crawl, and Lisa could feel tension tighten in her chest. While her husband clocked into his late shift at the factory, Lisa tucked her kids into bed. Nothing to worry about, she reassured herself, clinging to the normal rhythm of life, unaware of the darkness hiding just out of sight. The air turned heavy as silence filled the halls. Each creak of the floorboards sounded like someone walking. Each rustle of leaves outside felt charged with an electric dread. Her daughter, Lily, clutched her own blankets tight, eyes wide with a fear Lisa brushed off as childish whims. "Mommy, there's a shadow man in the house." Lily's voice sliced through the quiet, trembling with uncertainty. A pit formed in Lisa's stomach, but she chuckled softly. "Sweetheart, that's just your imagination," she soothed, her voice steady, a fragile facade against the darkness creeping into her mind. But the whispered shadows did not relent. Over the week, disturbances grew. Blurs flickered outside the windows. Hushed murmurs echoed through the walls at night. A nerve-grating rustling, something that felt like eyes watching her. Lisa felt increasingly like a moth caught in an unseen web, panic gnawing at her resolve. She spent nights tossing in bed while her children slept, their innocence a fragile barrier against the horror outside. And then came the dreadful discovery. Going through her husband's belongings one evening, she unearthed a pack of old photographs, weathered and strange. A chill slithered down her spine as she recognized familiar faces, neighbors, friends, all smiling too wide. But there was something eerie, something twisted in their eyes. The folklore her grandmother recounted came rushing back. Tales of a pact made long ago, a curse lurking just beneath the surface of Greendale, sewn tightly with secrets and sins. The ghostly legends whispered of an unyielding darkness punishing those who failed their community. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Her heart raced as the chilling realization hit her. The shadow man was no mere figment. He was a specter of the town's past, a reminder of the sins of those she once trusted. As she clenched the kitchen knife tightly, dread filled the air. Each whispered secret became an urgent scream for survival. The primal instinct to protect her children led her to the edge of her property one cold night, where shadows loomed, hungry and threatening. And then she saw him, a figure cloaked in darkness, merging with the very fabric of her nightmares. Panic surged through her. Would this shadow consume her family? As the shadows grew bolder and the ominous whispers crescendoed into a deafening cacophony, Lisa stood frozen, heart pounding. Would she uncover the truth hidden in Greendale before the darkness extinguished the light of her little ones forever? As the curtain pulled back on her idyllic life, she braced herself for the sinister truths waiting just beyond her door. The figure in the shadows shifted. Lisa's heart raced, each beat echoing in her ears like a warning drum. Dread twisted in her gut. She forced her eyes to remain locked on the presence, but all it did was magnify her fear. The darkness around it seemed alive, pulsating and breathing as if it were a creature of its own. "Mama?" Lily's small voice broke through the chaos, calling from the hallway. Lisa snapped her head away, just for a moment, and then back again. The shadow was gone, vanishing as though it had never existed. But the air was thick with tension. She turned and rushed towards her daughter, smoothing back her hair, trying to suppress the tremors coursing through her own body. "What is it, baby?" she asked, her voice more unsteady than she intended. "I heard a noise," Lily whispered, eyes wide and glistening. It sounded like someone was crying, A chill gripped Lisa. Was it the shadow man? Or perhaps something worse? It's okay. It's just the wind, Lisa lied, drawing Lily close. The comforting embrace felt like a temporary shield against the unseen terror. But deep within her, dread rippled. If only the wind were all it was. She tucked Lily back into bed, lingered a moment longer than usual, listening to the heavy silence of the house. It was unnerving. Not a creak or groan pierced the stillness. With every breath, the shadows in the corners of the room seemed to grow darker, more insistent. Once in her own room, sleep would not come. Her mind replayed the photographs. Those creepy smiles, the glances with hidden malice. What secrets had her husband kept? What deals had they made as a community? She needed answers, fast. Grabbing her phone, she combed through social media to find any shred of truth. The world outside was eerily quiet, but snippets of rumors began to surface. Within the digital haze, she stumbled upon a forum discussing the very legends her grandmother had warned of. Greendale was cursed, it said. A small town tightly knit by old horrors, feasting on its own. The last posts were urgently warning of something looming. Someone being taken. The screens flickered. Shadows danced on the wall as the lights threatened to fail. Not now, she hissed under her breath, striking the screen to wake it again. But it only grew dimmer, and her heart fell, like fresh embers snuffed too soon. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the house. The enveloping silence shattered. With a jolt, she propelled herself out of bed. Adrenaline coursed through her veins, urging her to act. "Kids!" she yelled, while scampering down the hallway. A lump formed in her throat, fear mixed with protective instinct. Lily's door hung wide open, and she barely had time to react before she peered inside only to find the room empty. "Lily!" Panic flooded her voice. She swung her head left, then right, desperately searching for anything signs of struggle. A shadow moving against the wall. Then she noticed the back door swung ajar, creaking in the wind. Terror gripped her. It wasn't the wind that made that sound. Someone or something had been here. A flicker of movement caught Lisa's eye near the porch, and she froze, breath stuck in her throat. The shadow man was out there waiting. Lisa's heart slammed against her ribs. Where were her children? Closing her eyes, she took a deep breath, willing herself to be brave. She had to face the horror head-on. As she stepped outside, the chill of the night enveloped her. The shadows beckoned, swirling around the darkness, daring her to step further. "Come back," she cried out, her voice trembling. But all that answered were the whispers of the night mingling with the rustling leaves. What had she unleashed? And would she find her children before it was too late? Just then, a blood-curdling scream shattered through the darkness. Lisa's heart dropped. It was Lily. The race against time began, and as she plunged deeper into the night, she felt the shadows tighten around her, fingers of ice brushing against her skin. Would she uncover the truth before the shadows claimed another victim? The darkness pressed in on Lisa as she stumbled forward, the scream echoing in her ears like a distant, haunting bell. Every nerve in her body screamed for her to turn back, to retreat into the flimsy safety of her home. But she couldn't. Not now. Not when Lily was out there. "Lily!" she cried, voice cracking, fear clawing at her throat. The wind howled louder, a wailing chorus that seemed to mock her helplessness. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision, slithering just out of sight. Lisa strained to catch any movement, heart pounding, breath coming in short gasps. Then she saw it. A flash of pale skin and tangled hair just beyond the tree line. Was it Lily? "Hold on. I'm coming." Racing toward the shapes that loomed in the distance, Lisa fought against the creeping gnaw of terror. Each step felt heavier, the ground shifting beneath her, pulling her back into darkness. The trees twisted, branches reaching like skeletal fingers, clawing at her clothing as if they too wanted to keep her away from the truths they held. "Lily!" The scream thundered in the night, drowned by an ominous rustle. Suddenly, she froze. A low whisper curled around her like smoke. "They're coming for you." It wasn't Lily's voice. Lisa's blood ran cold. "Who's there?" Her voice wavered, barely more than a whisper. From the shadows, figures began to emerge, moving in a slow, torturous dance. Their faces were blurred, as if the very essence of reality was failing to capture them. She could feel their eyes on her, no warmth, just an empty hunger. "Help us," they moaned in unison, voices intertwined, resonating with the weight of despair. "Help us break free." Lisa staggered back, panic rising. A chill crept up her spine. These weren't innocent souls. They were warnings, remnants of something that had haunted this ground for too long. Dark remnants of past sins that twisted through the town's history like roots in a graveyard. "Get away from me," she cried. She turned, desperately searching for the way back to her children. But the trees were thicker now, tighter, clutching at her like the grasp of some unseen monster. Each step was a battle against the chilling grip of the spectral figures. Their whispers morphed into a cacophony of voices. Each one crashed against her sanity. "Join us. Join us," she stumbled, fighting back dread. With frantic movements, she scrambled to tear her way through the oppressive darkness. "Lily, hold on." A sudden crack of laughter froze her in place. It was sweet and chilling all at once, echoing from somewhere very close. How could it be so near? "Lily?" Lisa called out, dread ripping through her voice, dread she couldn't contain. "Stay where you are." But what had become of her daughter? The spell of the whispers played tricks on her mind. She felt drawn to them, and yet repulsed, caught in a web of horror. A tether anchoring her in place. A cruel reminder that the fears she so desperately tried to escape were waiting, ready to pounce. Then silence fell, an unsettling stillness that felt like the calm before a storm. And then, another scream pierced the night. Not Lily's, came from behind her. Lisa spun around, dread doubling as her heart thundered. Someone was in the shadows, shifting. It moved with an animalistic grace, dark and foreboding. It was searching for her. As the figure stepped into the light, a new wave of terror crashed down. Who was it? And what part had they played in this wretched tale? "Help us," the voices echoed, a chilling harmonization of despair that reverberated in her chest. The danger wasn't just out there anymore. It was inside her head, gnawing at her sanity. The true horror of Greendale was finally revealing itself. With a deep breath, Lisa prepared to confront the night. But would the truth come at too great a cost? Lisa felt her pulse quicken as the figure stepped forward, revealing a face she recognized too well. It was Sarah, the town's former librarian. But there was something wrong. Deep shadows lined her eyes, and a wild look of desperation twisted her features. "Sarah?" Lisa's voice trembled. "What happened to you?" "No time," Sarah rasped, stepping closer, urgency crackling in the air like electricity. "You have to leave now. They're coming for you." "Who's coming?" But before Sarah could answer, a chilling howl erupted from beyond the tree line, sending a wave of ice through Lisa's veins. It wasn't animal. It was otherworldly. The hairs on her neck stood straight as fear coiled tightly in her stomach. Sarah's gaze turned wild, as if she could sense it too. "They want to claim you, Lisa. They need you." Sarah's voice cracked, desperation spilling from her lips. "We're not the only ones trapped here. You have to help us." A flicker of something dark slithered behind Sarah. A shadow almost human, but contorted and grotesque. It loomed larger than life, reeking of terror, clawing its way nearer, drawn by the commotion. Lisa's breath caught in her throat as her instincts screamed at her run. "Lisa, listen." Sarah's voice pierced the mounting panic. "If you don't confront them, if you don't find Lily, it will be too late." Lisa faltered, torn between fear for herself and the paralyzing worry for her daughter. "What do I have to do?" she yelled over the haunting cries surging through the darkness. "The old well at the edge of town. That's where it began." Lisa recalled the rumors, the whispers about sacrifices and families disappearing after visiting the well. It had always been a source of dread in the town. "Exactly." Sarah glanced back, terror visible on her face as the form shadowing her grew closer. "You have to go there. Find out what binds these souls." Suddenly, the spectral figures surged forward, their ghostly forms weaving a net of despair around her. "Help us break free," they beckoned, their outstretched hands growing claw-like, grasping for her, dragging her towards the depths of their ancient grief. "No," Lisa shouted, her voice fighting against the shrieks and laughter spiraling around her like a cyclone. She glanced at Sarah, who appeared spellbound by the horror they were facing together. Through the chaos, she heard a distant call, soft, a sweet echo amongst the noise. "Mom! Lily!" Lisa surged forward, straining against the ghostly tide. She glimpsed movement, something familiar ahead, a flash of orange, a figure almost lost in the dark. Was Lily nearby, waiting for her, trapped like the screams that surrounded them? Another howl burst forth from the shadows, pounding like war drums in her ears. Lisa's heart raced as she stumbled toward the sound, driven by instinct, anchored by love. The trees twisted and shifted, but she wouldn't let them deter her. "Lily!" she shrieked, pushing through branches that clawed at her, tearing her clothes and skin, remembering Sarah's words. Was it only darkness waiting at the edge, or was hope hidden in the depths of despair? The echo of laughter slithered around her, taunting and warped, pulling her back, fighting against her every step. "Join us!" the voices cried in unnerving harmony. Could she confront the darkness ahead? What awaited her in the well? Each question twisted inside her as she fought onward, deeper into the shadows, into the nightmare swirling with impossible choices. The world around Lisa had turned into a fractured nightmare. The trees warped and twisted above her, their branches forming grasping hands reaching for her sanity. As the cries of the spirits escalated, it felt as if the dark forest was closing in, breathing against her, the smell of decay and despair clinging to her like a shroud. "Lily!" she yelled again, desperation seeping into her voice. The familiar echo of her daughter's call flickered like a flickering candle in the vast, suffocating darkness. She raced ahead, limbs aching, heart pounding as if about to burst. A flash of orange flickered again through the dense shadows. Was it real? Had she truly seen her daughter? Or was it another cruel trick played by the darkness? "Mom!" The voice rang clearer this time, slicing through the sinister cacophony around her. It was a beacon, pulling her, drawing her closer. The ground beneath her feet shifted, every step an act of treachery. Shadows whipped past her, remnants of lost lives claiming their toll. She stumbled, bracing herself against a moss-covered tree, the sickening chill radiating from its bark sending shivers down her spine. "Stay with me, Lily," Lisa choked out, forcing her legs to move. They moved unwillingly, each inch an act of sheer will against the oppressive atmosphere. The well, she had to reach the well. As Lisa pushed through the underbrush, a sudden silence enveloped her, a dreadful pause that was more terrifying than the surrounding screams. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath, anticipating the chaos to come. She sensed something lurking, waiting to reveal itself, eager to consume her. Then there it stood, the old well, shrouded in mist, its stones slick with age and despair. It loomed ominously against the midnight sky, much larger than she remembered. The air around it crackled like static, a pulse of energy that felt alive, hungry. "Lily!" she screamed, her throat raw, hoping to elicit an answer that might break the spell of terror binding her. From somewhere within the well, a faint glow flickered. Shadows flickered around the edges, whispering the names of souls lost, trapped in this realm for decades, perhaps centuries. Every fragment of sorrow they held seeped into the ground beneath her, tainting it with darkness. As Lisa stepped closer, an icy hand gripped her ankle, sending a shock of fear racing through her. "Help us," it whispered, the voice choking on despair. Chills licked at her spine, but she forced herself to look. Sarah's silhouette emerged from the darkness, her face a mask of torment. "You must make a choice," she cried out, her voice barely rising above the dissonant wails clawing at their ears. "One of us must be released. Choose wisely, Lisa." The ground trembled as Lisa's mind reeled. She could feel the weight of their spirits pressing down, intensifying the spinning darkness. "Mom!" Lily's voice crackled through the air once more, stronger, closer, grounding her in reality. But could she trust it? Was it the call of her daughter or a lure into the abyss? In that heart-stopping moment, Lisa faced an impossible choice. Static energy filled the air, vibrating with urgency. Did she leap into the unknown to reach her daughter, or sacrifice to free one of the souls that had suffered before her? The well began to groan, ancient wood creaking in protest. Time seemed to slow, the air thick with fear and desperation. What was the true cost of freedom? As the well seemed to pulse with the weight of her decision, a figure stumbled from the depths, a twisted illusion of Lily. "Help me, Mom!" Lisa's breath hitched, panic enveloping her. The true horror was just beginning. Would she embrace the nightmare or turn away forever? In that moment, darkness embraced her, and Lisa knew that either choice would bind her fate to those who lost theirs within the well. What choice would she make? The answer loomed, but would it be too late before she found it? Lisa felt the earth beneath her tremble again, the sound of creaking stone echoing like a death toll. The illusion of Lily's figure twisted and morphed, an amalgamation of hope and despair. "Mom, help me," it whispered. Yet the voice twisted into a gurgle, choking on despair. Clarity flashed. This wasn't her daughter. Couldn't be. "Stay away," she yelled, shaking her head as tears streamed down her face. The frantic discord of tortured souls rose around her, clawing and gnashing, each wail amplifying the pressure in her chest. "Lisa, please!" The real Lily's voice broke through the clamor, slicing through the nightmare like a knife. "I need you. I'm here. But at what cost?" Shadows began to ebb from the well, curling around her ankles, pulling her toward the abyss. Lisa's fingers sought the cold stones, their surface slick and warm with something writhing beneath the pulse of countless fears, the despair of lost hopes. Choose save one. Sarah's silhouette beckoned, but her eyes were empty, void of any comfort. What will you gain? What will you lose? Gripped by fear, Lisa's heart rattled in her chest. The desperate cries continued, turning into a hideous chant that threatened to drown out her thoughts. The weight of the spirits pressed down harder now, each second stretching into an eternity. She glanced from the well to the desperate figure before her. "What do I have to do?" Lisa whispered to Sarah, her throat dry, her mind spinning. "Sacrifice one to save the other," Sarah howled. "But choose wisely, child. Every soul here has a tale, either a chance at freedom or a descent into despair." The shadows wrapped tighter around her, tearing at her sanity as Lisa fought to breathe, the scent of decay thickening. Gods, was this the fate of all who entered? To choose between soul and blood? Her dreams had become a waking nightmare. Every possible outcome splintered her thoughts. What if she chose wrong? Another voice scratched at her mind, lurking just below the surface. "Mom, I'm right here." The cry radiated between hope and dread, twisting through the tree's gnarled branches, wrapping itself around her heart like a vice. "I'm coming, Lily," she cried, the words exploding from her lips unbidden. It was a primal instinct, a mother's call to save her child, raw and unfiltered, ripping through the chaos. But the figures in the well laughed a low, haunting sound that sent icy fingers crawling up her spine. "You think you can save her? What if it's you who is lost?" The air became electric, crackling with their sinister joy. Lisa stepped back, trembling. The illusion began to fade, transforming into swirling shadows that darkened the very light of the moon above. Was it too late? No. I won't lose her. But then the earth beneath her feet began to groan, cracking, sending ripples of dread through her. She could see them, dark shapes emerging from the well, ghastly faces etched with torment, eyes pleading and hungry, all the souls deep within seeking release or revenge. "Mom!" Lily's voice rang out, clearer and piercing. Incredibly close now, just a thin veil away. Desperation pooled in her stomach, swirling with dread as the weight of the choice loomed like a storm cloud. "I need to decide now." But as Lisa closed her eyes, she could feel the ground crumble beneath her. Time was slipping. What if, in choosing one soul, She was sealing the fate of another. What if her love was a curse, trapping them both in darkness? Then, she heard it, a deep, guttural growl, reverberating against the stone. The very well itself seemed to pulse with veins of darkness. Choose, Lisa, or be consumed. As the last echoes of her daughter's voice faded into the abyss, she steadied her breath, ready to confront the horror ahead. What if her choice could open a door to something worse? Something lurking, waiting to devour them all? With fear anchoring her heart, she prepared to confront her fate. Would she condemn another for her freedom or risk everything to save her daughter? Suddenly, the ground shattered, and the spirits howled with a vengeful fury as shadows erupted around her. Was her courage enough, or had the darkness already claimed her? The answer was racing toward her like a freight train. As the ground fractured, Lisa felt herself plummeting into despair, darkness engulfing her like a suffocating shroud. Panic clawed at her throat, and she fought against the pull of the void, her heart racing with a primal desperation. The laughter of the damned echoed through her mind, twisting her thoughts to chaos. Lily! She screamed into the vast emptiness, but only silence answered. The well had swallowed any trace of hope, devouring it whole like a beast relishing its feast. The shadows thickened, writhing like serpents, each one whispering her deepest fears, her darkest regrets. Mom! Don't leave me! Lily's voice pierced the void again, closer now, but every word felt like a dagger twisting in her heart. It was a haunting reminder of what Lisa stood to lose. She needed to decide: save her daughter or unleash something far worse. With every ounce of strength, Lisa summoned the last embers of resolve within her. The pain of indecision fueled her. I choose, she shouted, her voice raw and trembling. I'll save you, Lily. But before she could act, the darkness shuddered violently. The ground beneath her ripped open wider, revealing a pulsating mass of shadow. It beckoned to her, promising power, whispers of forgotten secrets brewing just beyond her reach. Sacrifice, a trade must be made, hissed a voice from the depths, deeply resonant and eerily seductive. The shadows swirled, forming the visage of remorseless figures, each face marked by sorrow and madness, twisted into grotesque smiles. They excluded a palpable hunger, one that had formed over countless years, a dark eternity spent ensnaring the souls of the weak. Lisa's pulse raced as she recalled her own mother's warnings about the powers of the dark. Those who sought to bargain with it often found themselves trapped in a web of torment. If I give you something, will you release her? A low, throaty chuckle reverberated from the well. Ah, futile human, what you have is worth far less than what we desire. But still make your choice. Lily's cries echoed, merging with the cacophony of the lost. Lisa's heart shattered with each sound. If her child was so close, how could she dare hesitate? Let me think, Lisa cried, desperately raking her hands through her hair. The noise intensified around her, pressing, seeping into her thoughts like a poison. I won't let you take her. Is that a vow? A shadow sneered, slithering even closer, the air thickening with malevolence. We'll enjoy watching you squirm. A surge of anger gripped Lisa, mingling with her fear. This wasn't just a choice to save Lily. This was a fight for her very soul. As the darkness lunged toward her, she leapt backward, bracing for impact. The earth trembled beneath her, flinging her off balance as she struggled to hold on. Lily, I can't lose you. Every instinct in her screamed to save her daughter, but the shadows coiled tighter, gnashing their teeth. Kneel before us, and perhaps the price will be less costly. The urgency clawed at her. In that heart-stopping moment, she spotted a flicker of light beneath the veil, the true spirit of Lily flickering like a candle in the suffocating blackness. Mom, please! Lily's voice echoed again, more frantic and pleading. With one final surge of determination, Lisa yelled, No, I won't bow to you. The shadows recoiled, hissing like serpents doused with cold water. For an instant, doubt flickered in their dark minds. Then, with an earth-splitting roar, the well erupted into chaos, the darkness swirling violently around her. Your choice will seal your fate. And with that, the apparitions lunged, engulfing her in an abyss deeper than any she had known. Could she escape this time, or had she already lost everything? Racing against the encroaching dark, Lisa felt the edges of her sanity fray as she screamed Lily's name. But would a single heart's call be enough to shatter the bonds of the damned? Lisa tumbled through a void that felt endless, a dark tunnel whispering secrets of despair and eternal night. As she fell deeper into the abyss, the howls of the shadows warped into a dreadful symphony, a cacophony of screams lacing her thoughts. Each shriek echoed with regrettable choices, of hearts broken and souls consumed. "Mom, I'm scared." The voice of her daughter reverberated, layering through the torment. It wasn't just a plea. It was an anchor tethering her to the real world. Focusing on that voice, Lisa fought against the grasping shadows that tugged at her limbs like insatiable wolves. "I'm coming, Lily. Hold on." She screamed, desperation clawing at her throat. The darkness pressed down harder, almost tangible, suffocating her with unseen weight. Suddenly, a flicker of light pierced the shadows, flickering like lightning in a summer storm. Instinctively, she reached for it, grasping desperately as she neared the glimmer. Was it true hope or a cruel trick? Her heart raced. The shadows twisted and writhed, angry at her defiance. "Choose us, embrace the darkness," they hissed, their voices dripping with malice. A figure took shape from the mass, its silhouette shifting grotesquely. It beckoned to her, its eyes voids of infinite greed, promises of power dancing at its fingertips. "You will never escape. Submit." Lisa's breath hitched as she lost her grasp on the light. It flickered dimmer, threatening to snuff out completely. Panic surged within her. "No!" She pushed herself harder against the cold vortex, determined to reach the brilliance. "Lily!" A primal scream erupted from her throat, reverberating through the infinite dark. As if summoned, the light surged forward, illuminating the grotesque faces surrounding her. They recoiled momentarily, their horrible features revealing something akin to fear. In that heartbeat of distraction, Lisa propelled herself towards the light. She squeezed her eyes shut as she thrust herself into its warmth, praying it was not a mirage. Suddenly, a hard jolt through her back. The darkness fought against her escape, fingers of shadow closing around her ankles, dragging her back into the bleak embrace. The light flared, blinding her momentarily, but she felt an echo pulsing inside her, a heartbeat. Could it be Lily? Lisa focused, feeling the warmth of her daughter South's spirit close by. She whispered a silent promise, a vow stitched from desperation. "I will not let you go." The shadows shrieked, howls of anger surging through the air, the ground pulsating beneath her as she latched onto the heartbeat. The very void trembled as light and dark battled in a vicious duet, ripping at the fabric of her soul. "I'll fight," she screamed, clawing her way toward the light. With every ounce of strength, she forced the shadows back, igniting the light with her will, letting it explode forth in waves. Peace washed over her as she felt the last vestiges of darkness recoil. "Mommy!" The voice was clearer, closer, and with it, the ground beneath her began to shift. The weight of the shadows dissipated, breaking apart like brittle glass, and suddenly she was lifted, soaring towards the light. But just as she thought she would breach into safety, the darkness roared back, roaring louder than before. "You cannot escape your destiny," it shrieked, relentless. Lisa's heart raced as she felt the ground shift again beneath her feet, but this time, it felt sharper, like knives at her heels. "Lily," she breathed, terror clawing at her heart again. The light flickered perilously, luminous tendrils reaching out for her. But would it last? Or would she be drawn back into the gaping maw of emptiness? Caught between life and oblivion, Lisa had to make a choice. But something deeper stirred. A chilling whisper emerged from the shadows, more seductive, promising salvation. Would she let darkness claim her soul to save her precious child? "Lily!" She screamed into the chaos, but the answer echoed silently, lost in the depths. The void twisted, a kaleidoscope of agony and twisted souls. Lisa felt her heart drumming against her ribs, panic deepening with each heartbeat. Shadows coiled around her limbs, their whispers curling into her ears like smoke, promising her the one thing she longed for most: safety for Lily. Lily! The name was a desperate incantation, a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. But the more she cried out, the more the shadows seemed to pulse and writhe, feeding off her desperation. The cacophony grew, a chorus of tortured wails, a symphony of despair. Suddenly, the ground beneath her fractured, splintering with a sound like cracking ice. She plunged again, falling through a fragmented dimension that felt alive, like a beast hungry for her essence. Images flickered in the darkness, fleeting glimpses of her life before laughing with Lily, their home, warm evenings spent snuggled on the couch, watching movies. But those memories warped, twisted into something grotesque, the smiles melting into hollow expressions. Just as she thought she had lost all hope, the light surged again, stronger this time, more vibrant. Instinctively, she reached for it, but the shadows whipped back, grasping at her like desperate hands, peeling back layers of grief and guilt. "You are nothing without us," they hissed, their voices a menacing lullaby. Lisa clenched her fists, the weight of the shadows threatening to suffocate her. She felt Lily's heartbeat. "I can't lose her." With every ounce of will she had left, she refused to succumb. "Get away," she shouted, channeling her love for her daughter into a wave of defiance. The light responded, brightening, illuminating her surroundings. The shadows shrieked, voices spiraling into a frenzy as their forms began to boil and churn. But a sickening specter broke through the chaos, an even darker entity looming from the depths. Its eyes were pinpricks of malevolence, a swirling mass that called to her, feeding on her fear. "What do you want from me?" Lisa cried, though she knew the answer. They demanded her surrender, a sacrifice weighing precariously on the brink of her resolve. "No," she whispered, trembling as she pulled against the oppressive darkness. Lily's name echoed in her mind, propelling her forward. With fire ignited within her, she surged towards the light, the pulse of her daughter's heart guiding her. Just as she reached for the brilliance, the dark figure lunged, clawing at her soul with icy fingers. "You cannot escape. You have already chosen," it howled, its voice a thunderous growl. Pain shot through her, wrestling with her resolve. Shadows splintered at the edges of her vision, threatening to snuff the light entirely. Lisa's breath quickened, each inhale tasting of ash and regret. But deep down, she felt that tiny flicker of hope. "Lily," she moaned, feeling not just the weight of darkness, but the immense love she had for her child pulling her through the pain. Her resolve solidified. She would not give in. With a primal scream, she pushed back against the shadows, channeling every ounce of hope and strength into one final desperate attempt. The light burst forth, blinding her. For a moment, there was only radiance. The shadows screeched in fury, their form disintegrating around her, but she felt their presence lingering, clawing at the edges of her consciousness. Then, in the purity of that brilliant light, she thought she caught a glimpse of a figure, a silhouette of Lily, beckoning her. A moment of clarity struck, but the darkness seethed around her, refusing to let go. "Mommy!" the tiny voice cried, and just like that, the shadows surged back, swallowing the light, threatening to pull her back into their embrace. Something shifted within Lisa, and she understood. To save her daughter, she would have to confront the abyss head-on. As the encroaching darkness lurked ever closer, she made her decision, facing the horror she tried to escape. The stakes tore through her mind like barbed wire, birthing a suffocating fear. What would she truly sacrifice to protect Lily? But the shadows whispered, "We will be." Waiting forever, Lisa took a deep breath, heart racing as the edges of reality began to blur once more. Would she finally find her daughter or become yet another lost soul within this cursed abyss? Lisa felt her heart pound like a war drum as she faced the swirling shadows around her. The dark entities seethed, their twisted forms writhing in anticipation, eager to consume her essence. But she wouldn't let them. She clutched her breath tight, summoning every ember of determination within her. "Lily!" She screamed again, her voice slicing through the oppressive air. Each echo seemed to fuel the shadows, drawing them closer, yet she felt something shift within her. This time, she didn't just plead. She called out with a fierce instinct, a surge of maternal love that no darkness could stifle. "Mommy!" The sound of her daughter's voice cut through the chaos like a lighthouse beam in a storm. It was closer than ever. Hope ignited in Lisa's chest. "Lily!" She pushed forward. Every ounce of her will focused on that thread, connecting them, the purest bond, unbreakable. The shadows recoiled as she moved, their sinister whispers erupting into furious howls that pricked at her resolve. In that moment, clarity pierced the shadows. "You don't own me," Lisa shouted, anger surging through her as she thrust away the chilling uncertainty that threatened to engulf her. "I choose to save my daughter." As she surged forward, the ground trembled, and the walls of shadow rolled back like a tide, unraveling before her. Bright light flared, illuminating the ancient memories trapped within the well, and she plunged toward it. She could see something clearly now, a radiant glow that sparkled with hope and love. "Mommy!" Lily's little figure flickered at the edge of the light, waving frantically. "I'm coming!" Lisa cried, reaching for that light, for her child. The shadows surged angrily, unintelligible sounds ripping through her consciousness. But she didn't falter. With everything inside her, Lisa leaped, smashing through the remaining darkness like glass shattering underfoot. For an eternal heartbeat, she felt both pain and freedom collide. The light surrounded her, warm and inviting, and when she landed, it poured down like rain in summer. Instantly, she found herself at the edge of the well, the oppressive weight of the shadows lifted. The air was sweet and intoxicatingly familiar, and ahead of her stood their home, nestled in the comforting glow of dawn. "Mommy!" Lily darted towards her, and Lisa fell to her knees, wide arms accepting her daughter with a fierce embrace. "Oh, my sweet girl!" She wept, tears streamed down her cheeks as relief washed over her. "I was so scared." As comfort enveloped them, Lisa could feel the shadows retreating back into the unseen realms. The heavy air cleared, revealing the glorious sunlight of a new day. Greendale was waking up, birds cheeping, colors vibrant, as if the town was breathing anew. But the weight of the experience lingered, a reminder of the darkness they had faced. "We broke their hold," Lisa whispered, gazing into Lily's innocent eyes, flooded with life. "Yes, Mama, just like you promised." Lily smiled, blissfully unaware of the depths they had traversed. But Lisa knew. The curse may have been lifted, but echoes of it remained. It was a stark reminder for the souls lost long ago, the ties that bound those shadows to Greendale. The whispers, the threats, they would never truly disappear. They hung in the corners, a ghostly reminder of a pact made long ago. From that day forward, Lisa kept the town's secrets, those bitter truths safely tucked away as silent guardian. She embraced the laughter of her children, the normalcy of life, and each shared moment became a precious treasure against the darkness that had nearly consumed them. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, she watched over her family, a vigilant protector, knowing that she chose them. With one last look at the well, she whispered, "You will not win." And with that, she turned back home, holding on to hope, holding on to light, knowing that the love of a mother would always be stronger than the shadows lurking beyond the edges of their lives. The whispers faded into the evening air as shadows merged with the dying light. And in that small, serene moment, the darkness finally fell silent. But as Lisa tucked Lily into bed that night, she couldn't shake the feeling of watchful eyes lingering just out of sight, reminding her that the sinister peace was hard-won but always precarious. And yet, she smiled softly, nestled her daughter close, and whispered, "Always." As the stars twinkled in the overcast sky, Greendale sighed with the weight of untold stories, but tonight, Lisa knew, they would sleep soundly, cradled in love and the fragile promise of safety. This is the moment to reflect on the journey. If you enjoyed this spine-chilling tale, you need to subscribe now for more exclusive stories that will take you to the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to make sure the algorithm keeps bringing you thrilling content like this. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about this wild ending. What do you think Lisa's choice meant for her future? Don't wait even one more second to share this video link with at least 5 friends who love thrilling tales and need to experience this spine-tingling conclusion. Your support makes all the difference.